Hey everyone, Nick Griot from Griot's Garage. I am distanced from my dad, Richard Griot, who is going to be here with me, and we're going to host our first ever virtual Caffeine and Gasoline. Obviously, everybody is aware of what is going on around us, and car shows are as essential as we believe them to be, definitely not something where we can all get together and act normally. So we were able to mix up the cars in our auto display, and we've got a very special selection of cars at our really good smattering, but supercars was our theme for April. So we've got some supercars in there. We're going to tell you all about them, but just want to reiterate that we are very, very thankful that you all are joining us. We hope that you are healthy and happy and following all of the protocols in place. We presume you have some time on your hands, so hopefully you're checking out from the world and spending some time in your garage around the things that you care about. And maybe your automobiles, getting your RVs ready for a hopeful future road trip, or taking a nice drive. We've had some great weather here in the Northwest, so I know that I've been out washing my car. Richard, have you been washing your car?
I have been washing my car. I've been speed shining my car.
All right.
All day long.
And again, we just want to thank everybody for tuning in. Here at Griot's Garage, we have been deemed an essential business as we supply an essential part of the automotive supply chain in our auto retail partners. So we are very thankful to be able to continue to operate our business. That means for you, our customers, you can still get Griot's Garage products. Whether you come to Tacoma to our retail store, we are open on a will call basis from 9 to 2. Monday through Saturday, so you don't have to come in the store. We'll give you curbside delivery. You just call ahead. And obviously, you can order online as well. We're taking this very seriously. We have about 4 people in our 50,000 square foot facility here in Tacoma, so we've got plenty of distance between us, and we are respecting all the protocols while we continue to operate our business. About 90% of our employees are remote right now, so we are adapting. But without further ado, I don't want to keep talking too much, but let's see some cars, and then I'll tell you about the next virtual Caffeine and Gasoline that we're going to do at some point when Richard needs a little bit of a break. But this is the first in what will be a series of virtual Caffeine and Gasolines, and the next one is going to be all about you and your cars. So we're going to need some help from you, sending some photos to us so we can award some prizes. We're going to be working with some of our sponsors and partners, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that, but let's see what we have in the auto display. So take it away, Dad.
Welcome, everybody. So this is our Caffeine and Gasoline car display. This is actually stock full of cars times, like after, every day. If you were to come into the store, you can just waltz in here and take a look at the cars that we have on display. And we actually changed the display over once a month. So this month was Supercar Month, and we display them here under 5,000 degree Kelvin lights, so it makes the pop in the paint really pop. Also shows off some flaws. So we know that customers, when they bring their car in, either need more speed shine or more polishing. So let's just talk about the very first car here. It is a 2015 Aston Martin Vantage S. And if you've ever wanted to play James Bond in any movie role, this should be the car that you should start off in. They're not overly expensive, especially on the used market. They're just awesome buys. It has a V8 under the hood, and which is sort of like Ford's small block. They put this V8 in a ton of stuff, but it's not a Ford small block. But Ford used to own Aston Martin at one time, and but if you were to look at the lines on this, just no bumper. Everything is just smooth and clean. However, if you do hit something on that aluminum hood, it's going to hurt. And just the way the lines come back, I love this little line at the door, fades right into the rear flare. Line comes up. There's no tacked on spoiler or anything. It's just this little ducktail that comes up in the back. It is just an awesome car. Let me just open the door real quick. And we're trying to
Hey, Richard,
away from
I
the camera.
wanted to reiterate to anybody watching at home that if you have any questions for Richard about any of the cars or any detailing related questions, have questions about your orders, you can shoot those away too. We're here to answer your questions and participate. Obviously, we're going to show you some cars, but be sure to fire away in the live chat if you have any questions for us. It's a perfect time, whether you want to know what our favorite soft drink is or if you have a tough detailing question. So take advantage of that as well if it's your first time here.
Also, what's great about Aston Martin is they put a ton of clear on these cars, and it just makes the depth of the paint just fantastic. I love the contrast stitching in here, and just the waterfall grille that comes over. They do have a very, very small screen, but you can see yourself backing up in the later versions. So that's it for the Aston Martin. Oh,
Richard.
Yes.
John Ships wants to know if you have to wear a tuxedo and speak with an English accent when you drive that car. And Pinoy Car Guy 88 wants to know if you have a DB5.
If I have a what?
A DB5.
A DB5. No, I do not have a DB5. I wish I had a DB5. I do love the DB4s, though. They're to me are also awesome. But no, I have not gotten to that James Bond part of my life yet. I have owned a Vantage. They are awesome cars. This happens to be a manual, which is just really, really awesome. There's nothing like rolling the gears and just hearing the exhaust snap at you. Alrighty, so now we go to the most ridiculous car in the collection today, and that is a 2014 Viper GTS. Now, before I say anything wrong about this, I'm going to get out some notes because this is owned by our good friend Diaper Dave, who has all sorts of cars. He is just the most passionate car guy that I've ever seen. And this particular paint in the sun is just unbelievable. It has this iridescent green that reminds me of this green mamba that jumped out of the tree at me when I was in Africa as a little boy. That's why I'm a survivor, like 2 times. If you guys read the hyena story that I told you about, running away from hyenas, Viper jumping out of a tree. It wasn't this Viper, but it looked like this Viper. So this is, let's see, this is one of 57 that were painted in striker green, and of that, only 23 were GTSs. Of that, only a few of them had the 6 vented grills here, and this thing obviously produces a lot of heat, so I would imagine the more grills, the merrier for this thing. But it is also a manual. You talk about being totally ridiculous of entrusting your life to a 6-speed transmission, or at least I think it's 6-speed. Let's see.
Hey, Richard.
Yes, we're getting another question.
We want to know which cars are customer cars and which cars are personal cars.
So this whole row down here are all customer cars. Due to the COVID-19 situation here, I had to bring in some of my own, which you will see on that side of the room. But I always love customer cars. That's where the passion is. Everybody knows my passion, which is like I eat, sleep, and drink cars all day. And before this car arrived, like last night, it arrived this morning, but before it arrived last night, I was sending out to my boys, hey, we ought to be buying green Vipers. And actually seeing it in person is just unbelievable. Again, striker green, it's just like strikingly awesome. And gosh, I would hate to get this thing. You may be, reading the street signs backwards, maybe forwards. I'm not sure. All righty.
Once again, thank you everybody for tuning in. This is our first ever virtual Caffeine and Gasoline. Let us know what you want to see from us in the top chat. I do need to pause you for 1 second. If this is your first time joining us on a live event, we're going to be doing live events once a week for the foreseeable future. We have another one this upcoming Thursday that will be very special. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But in the meantime, if you enjoy this format, the next one will be all about you and your cars. And we're going to collect photos and stories from you either via social. You can send them directly to our Facebook page or Instagram using the hashtag virtual, the letters C, the letter N, the letter G. So Virtual CnG hashtag, or you can email us at social@griotsgarage.com. Be sure to include photos, your name, a little bit of story. We want to hear about what you guys and girls are doing to stay busy during this quarantine, how you're spending time in your garage, if you've got a massive restoration project. We're going to be partnering with some of our sponsors to do special giveaways for maybe the best BMW, the best locally owned Tacoma car, the best overall project. So fire away with your stories and photos. We want to hear from you, and we're going to share it on the next iteration of Virtual Caffeine and Gasoline, which will be 2 weeks from this morning. So again, we put up the hashtags and email. We want to see and hear from you. All right, Richard, what's next?
Well, what's next? I just wanted to say, look, I mean, as you're spinning around in this car going backwards, and there is, remember, there's 640 horsepower, 645 horsepower under the hood, and they stopped making these in 2017, 5 a day. So it's truly a hand-built car, but you wouldn't think it's a hand-built car because everything on it, the gaps are just perfect. And, as I was saying, the little ducktail on the Aston Martin, look at this. This has a little carbon fiber just to keep the rear end planted at probably 80 miles an hour, going up to 200 and something. Okay, so we have a 2005 Ferrari 575 Maranello Superamerica. Now, what's super about this car? Drop top, or here, and flops all the way back. But what is unbelievably cool about this car, even though, I mean, other than the fact that it has a V12, loud and lovely noises, is that it has an Electro chromatic roof. You'll see there's a little dial, and this little dial in the middle of the dash allows the sun to either come through fully or come through not so fully. So you have it's kind of like a full glass roof, which I absolutely love, and I'll talk to you about that a little later. But the lines on this thing are just pretty cool. I mean, I can't imagine why you wouldn't want to drive this all through Italy, have some totally hot girl sitting in the passenger seat and just, smoking cigarettes all day long and just drinking wine later on that night. Are they smoking cigarettes? No, you don't want to be smoking cigarettes. If you like cigarettes, that's fine, but don't start off smoking cigarettes. Okay, so the car is a 2015 650S. Stands for Spider. Doesn't stand for any other crazy options, but unbelievably fast. They're unbelievable. Just the sight lines drops away. So the 650 replaced the McLaren MP. I was calling it the. No one could remember what MP4 stood for, which, if anybody knows what MP4 stands for and they type it in there, I will send you a handwritten something around. Maybe. If nobody knows, I'll tell you at the end of the show. So this replaced the 12C, which really the 12C was more old school up in front. The nose on the 650 did change, but the 12C looked more like a McLaren F1 from its glory days. And you can see the design language of the speeding Kiwi. I'm not sure if you guys know that all this was, part of McLaren's, heritage when they had, the speedy Kiwi, because Bruce McLaren was a New Zealander. So the design language, a lot on the 650 was this, speedy Kiwi. And you can see the speedy Kiwi here in the McLaren logo.
Hey, Richard,
yes.
We are having some audio issues, so maybe we can take a quick look at your mic. There's some cutting out that's going on. In the meantime, I've got a couple questions to keep me busy. Why don't you take a look?
All righty.
Sorry, everybody who is experiencing those audio issues. We're practicing some pretty good distancing between our broadcast center here and where the video and Richard is talking about those cars. So we're going to see if we can't fix that really quick. In the interim, just want to remind everybody, this is our first ever virtual Caffeine and Gasoline. The next iteration of it will be all about you and your cars. So we are asking for you to tell us how you are dealing with this particular situation as it relates to automobiles. And really, we want to know what you're doing in your garage, what project that you've neglected are you taking on, and are you just washing your cars and detailing? Snap some photos, tell us a story. You can submit those photos either via a hashtag on our social channels at Virtual CnG. We're not going to make you spell caffeine. I know I struggle with that word all the time. So Virtual CnG is the hashtag, or you can email us directly at social@griotsgarage.com, and we will utilize your photos and your stories in our next virtual Caffeine and Gasoline, and there will be prizes for the best stories, best different types of cars. We're going to be working with that with some of our sponsors as well. So we're really excited about that, and it looks like we've got our audio issues resolved just when we get to my favorite car in the room.
Well, I'm not sure if they're totally resolved, but what I'm going to do is kind of talk about the car and then walk back closer to the receiver or whatever.
Okay, so we've got a plan. So
alrighty. So
the camera's going to go one way, Richard's going to go the other, in the hopes that
yes.
we get the audio a little
So
bit better for you all. You guys having fun? You enjoying this? Let us know in the comments in the chat. We love seeing all the participation. It looks like you got about 200 people on board with us. Z71 Black Mamba, good to see you. Everybody is saying MP4 is McLaren Project 4, so it looks like we've got some fans out there.
Oh dear, I'm going to be signing a lot of stuff.
All right, well, we've got a pretty special McLaren to show off, so let's see what you got, Richard.
All right, McLaren Project 4, you are correct, and that was the old Dennis reign. Okay, so what we have here is a 2019 McLaren Senna, and let's see, Nick, if my mic goes, a little haywire, let me know and I'll walk back that way. I just want to open the door to the Senna.
I'll let you know as soon as I can.
So,
thank you all for putting up with us. We're doing our best here.
So as you guys know, I'm a huge McLaren fan. We have in the collection, which is behind this red door that we will show you on a future show. I own Bruce McLaren's 1967 championship winning Can-Am car, and that kind of opens the door when you have a car like that in the collection, and I've had it for years and years and years and years. And so they presented me with the opportunity to buy a MP4-7. Now, that is 1992, and the MP4-7 was one of the last races, or not the last races, because our wonderful passed away driver Ayrton Senna won Monaco 6 times, but McLaren gave me the opportunity to buy the 5th winning chassis when he had the insane dice with Nigel Mansell in the last 10 laps of the race. Go to YouTube, look at it. It's the most insane conclusion to a Monaco Grand Prix that's probably ever been recorded. However, when McLaren gave me that opportunity, and then when I knew that the Senna, the car of Senna, was coming along, I asked Mclaren to see if I couldn't paint this in the same livery as Ayrton Senna's Marlboro McLaren, and this is what they did for me. And this is chassis number, it ends in 447. Now, his championship-winning car was MP47-7. So the chassis numbers, more or less, line up with his his fifth-winning Monaco car. This car is just completely off the hook. And I will open the door on this side, and you'll see that the Brazilian flag in honor of Senna is located on the intake for the engine. What's cool about this is that we're looking for some type of interior that would have a little more contrast. So we asked Mclaren to weave red carbon fiber in with the black carbon fiber to give it a look of red and black, and then the seats were perfed in. Outside skin was black, but on the inside the perf is red. So when you get in there, it's just a festival of red and black. But this is painted in rocket red and their heritage white. And the rocket red you'll see on a lot of European ambulances. And the reason why McLaren did that is because on the TV, the Marlboro red back in the early 70s was just not coming across on the TV as a bright red, for the cigarette package. So they were working with, all sorts of reds, and it just so happened to be the rocket red made the red on the TV of the Marlboro box, the little, triangle, red. And so I remember going to the Long Beach Grand Prix, 1976, 1977, 1978. I was 16 years old the first time I went down there, and seeing these rocket red painted cars, with Marlboro all over the place come by, and it was just a stunning color in person. When you see this color in person, and especially out in the light, it is just so vibrant. That's why ambulances, kind of use it all the time. Anyway, you guys probably know all the numbers on this car. It's fast. The vanes, it's got so much, electronic aero. For the braking, the wing will come almost straight up to give you that braking force on the rear. As you know, you have a lot of weight transfer when the car is under braking. You're trying to get weight on the back, so this rear wing comes up like a barn door and just pushes down the back, so you have additional braking that's available to the rear. Also, the front vanes, work, guiding air this way and that way. It's a very, very complicated car, but I do like this, color combination. It is a tribute to, Senna for me. I just was a very sad day when he passed away, and being, an amateur racer myself, and just, loved everything he did, loved his passion, loved his story, and so this is really a tribute to him. And no better car to do it than a car that was named after him as well. So,
hey Richard, can we take a break to remind everybody about a couple things? And Matt, do you want to just do a nice little slow lap of that Senna for anybody just tuning in? So, for everybody who is just tuning in, we're going to give you a closer look at the McLaren Senna, a nice slow lap. That interior was a little dark when we pulled it out, but it is a beautiful carbon red. If you go to our website right now, you can see our in-house photographer's wonderful work on that car, and you get the full effect of the interior. That was just on our cover at the first beginning of the spring launch. So once again, this is our first ever virtual Caffeine and Gasoline. Let us know in the comments, the chat, If you guys are enjoying this, if you have any other questions, looks like we resolved an audio issue. But our next Caffeine and Gasoline, again, it's going to be all about you. We're trying to get you to submit photos using the hashtag Virtual CnG, or also you can submit your story and photos at social@griosgarage.com. We're going to be doing prizes and giveaways and featuring the very best story. Likewise, we have a YouTube Live coming up this Thursday that will be all about spring cleaning and the foaming system. Our Boss foaming system is an excellent top-to-bottom car washing solution, and we're going to be giving away a massive kit for that YouTube, and that is generally more detailing focused. So if you have detailed questions, Sam and I answer that, and we're going to explain the best way to go through and clean your car up in the spring with a touchless foaming solution. So we did have a couple other questions. We've got some good light on that interior. Oh yeah, some of that red's popping. Somebody asked, if you don't have a garage, should you be storing your car with a cover? I think putting a cover on your car if you are storing your car outside is a very common practice. Just be sure that if you're putting a cover on your car, that the cover is clean and that your car is clean. You don't want to put a cover on a dirty car and drag it all over the paint and scratch it up. So that is a perfectly good solution. We offer some weatherproof covers in our catalog, so you can check those out. And they're very effective. Probably not going to prevent a snowstorm or a flood, but they'll keep the rain away, keep some of the UV damage from impacting your car. So remember, you guys can submit questions for Richard or myself if you have a detailing related question like that gentleman did. And we are going to continue on with the next car in the room over there. For somebody asking to see the engine for the Senna, you cannot open the engine compartment. So that's a little difficult. That engine only gets shown off one way, and that's if it's dropping out of the bottom of the back end for service. So there is no hood on that car. It's a little hard to service, but you know, I guess that's what supercars are meant to be. All right, let's see. What's next?
All righty. Well, we have a 2006 Ford GT, and believe it or not, Griot's Garage shot the very first Ford GT, put it on the cover of their catalog. It was owned by a gentleman that lived in, donated all the proceeds to charity, and it was blue, and so that was 2004, and I sat in that thing, and I thought it was just
Hey, Richard, your audio is cutting out, so you might want to let Matt just walk around the car and you come a little closer here.
Okay, will do. Okay, Matt, you're gonna stay 6 feet away from me. So yeah, back in 2004, I got the opportunity to shoot the Ford GT on the cover. No one had really seen it. People were calling us, "How did you do that?" And the wonderful thing about Griot's Garage is that it opens all the doors, and you have people with a lot of passion that call you up and want to share their passion. And so after sitting in that car and walking around it and looking at all the design features, I just said, I have to have one. And so, of course, back then they were going for so much money over MSRP, and I just waited. I just thought, I've seen car markets go up and down. I'll just wait until I can pay MSRP. So 2 years goes by, and all of a sudden they released the Heritage paint job on the Ford GT, and I just said, okay, I'm all in. And at that time, they all came to market at once. So there was about 10 on eBay, and one just so happened to be at a small Ford dealer that was about 2 miles away from our warehouse in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I called him up and I said, hey, I want to buy the car and I want to pay MSRP. He chuckled for a bit. I said, well, look, just go on eBay. There's 10 of them available right now, so it's not really that rare of a car. And so, of course, you know, I'm using all my best sales skills. And he calls me back in about an hour. He said, "Okay, we'll take your offer." And I just about fell over. I was the happiest guy on the planet at that particular day. So I've had this car from brand new, and I just think Ford had this car made for its 100th birthday. And when you look at it, you think, my goodness, how could they make this car? And just, I mean, how many hurdles did it have to pass? And of all the Ford, vice presidents and senior vice presidents and double senior, triple senior vice presidents, and then have the CEO sign off on it. It's just a staggering commitment from Ford, and it's probably one of the best things they've ever done. I did submit my request to Ford to buy the new one, and I got shot down. Thank you very much, Ford. That's not very nice of you. But they're now. I mean, Ford didn't want to release them to anybody that was going to turn them and flip them, and
Richard, somebody wants to know how you picked the number.
Okay, well, as everybody knows, 7 is my lucky number. It just so happens to rhyme with 7, come 11, baby needs new shoes, that sort of thing. But I was born on February 7th, and I'm not going to tell you the year because then you'll be able to, probably take out a home loan on me or something. Yeah, that is my favorite number. The Le Mans winning one was number 6, so I chose 7.
Hey, Richard, we have Sean and Arnie chiming in. Apparently you gave Sean a ride on his 10-year anniversary, and Arnie claims he's still the first person that ever drove that car, so.
Yeah, well, thank you, Arnie. Yes, you were the first person that ever drove my car. Arnie runs our warehouse. He's been with me since he was in swaddling clothes. I found him in a manger. I think it's 25 years now for Arnie, maybe 24. Arnie, is it 23, 24, 25? It's a long time. So, but yes, that is his claim to fame. And then he tried to stage some, burnouts, and by having, a whole bunch of, tire marks. Of course, I know what real tire marks look like. Arnie, that was a really, bad prank. So, anyway, I love this car.
We had 2 other questions.
Okay.
I got to chime in. A customer asked, what was my most hair-raising drive with my dad? And I actually had a pretty hair-raising drive in that GT. We were in it probably for the first time, and he was, we were in second gear going 65 miles an hour on the freeway, upshifted to third, and pulled all the way to 120 in third gear.
Okay, so
that was pretty gnarly. This thing just is massively powerful.
I'm sure we did that on a closed course.
There was nobody on the road, as I recall, and I'm pretty sure we had
nobody
a police
on the road.
escort,
It was on a racetrack, I'm sure.
I think it was in Mexico.
Yeah, I can tell you though, this thing has no nanny gear. I mean, it doesn't have any stabilization stuff. The engine doesn't, cut out, when you're going around a corner and losing grip. This is why so many have been backed into the guardrail of, nearby bridges. But it's a fabulous car. I think doing that and for pulling it off, still a little, stuck with this, the latest Ford GT. I don't know if Ford's listening right now. Could they
snapping a little bit again? But I have a couple car care questions that came in.
You guys are all over on the question thing.
While one guy says he wants you on his team when he goes to negotiate. I think that's a pretty good strategy.
Okay, so I've got a couple.
You got to give some of your best one-liners that you've given to car dealers.
Okay, so some of my best one-liners. I'm not sure if I need to be on camera here.
You're on camera.
Am I on camera? Okay. Is like, why are you making it so hard for me to give you my money? That's a good one. And I think I was buying a, I don't want to say it was a minivan, but I think I needed a minivan one day. And I was within $500. And I told the guy, are you really going to let me walk out of here and let me think about this over the weekend over $500? And the guy literally sat there for about 2 seconds and he goes, nope, I'm not, I'll take your deal. So that's another good line. I was with my dad buying a car once and we were down to $100. And I remember this guy was just really chiseled. He was just really handsome. And he jumps up at the table, he goes, I cannot believe we're haggling over, $100. Girls stuff more in my jock strap at night than $100. And so he was a stripper at, what was it?
Chippendales.
Thank you. And we gave him the $100. I turned to Dad. I said, Dad, that one line, is worth, probably $200. You ought to pay him for that line. Anyway, and I always wanted to write a book, and maybe I should. This would be a good best one-liners, and we'll create a book one day on how to negotiate for cars.
All right, so it looks like we're doing a giveaway on our next virtual Caffeine and Gasoline for your best negotiating story or best one-liner you've ever used as it relates to purchasing a car. So that will be noted. It is the boss's decree. So that sounds like a good idea.
I get my way on you.
One other question. Again, we have a car care question coming from somebody who asked, how many times can you apply wax per year? Are you generally limited to applying wax only 3 times? There is no limit to the amount of times you can apply wax, but there is diminishing returns to doing multiple coats of waxes. And generally you want to reapply wax when you know it's gone. And that is when your paint stops beating water and you're gathering dirt. If you're washing your car and your paint is, the water is clinging to your paint, it's probably indicative that you lack protection, and that would be a great sign to reapply. So there's no limit with regards to how much wax you can apply, and quite frankly, we have people that wax their car every weekend. Whether or not that has additional benefits to protection, especially in this time, wax your car every weekend if you want. You can have fun. As it relates to polishing and correcting, though, there are some limitations there. And just one of our, somebody in the live did chime in. There is a limit with regards to the finite nature of a paint job. At some point, if you polished your car every day, you would run out of paint to polish. So polish when you see signs such as swirl marks or water spots, things that are indicative of slight paint damage. Those can all be remedied, but you do not need to polish as frequently as you would protect. Those are 2 different steps. One of them reduces the amount of paint ever so slightly, but you wouldn't want to do it 100 times every time you do it. So just do that when you need to. Generally, rule of thumb is 1 great overhaul correction a year and maybe 2 touch-ups with a mild product such as liquid wax 3-in-1 or all-in-one one-step sealant. All right, enough from me. Let's see that last black beautiful car in the display.
All righty. Well, I think one of the most sexiest cars ever made was the Iso Rivolta. And so Renzo Rivolta was an Italian industrialist. And after the Second World War, when Italy was getting back on its feet, it produced the Isetta. And the Isetta came out at the same time as the Fiat 500. And so the Fiat 500 had rear seats and could, believe it or not, pack in 4 people, where the Isetta, it was 2, maybe if you had a little infant, 3 across the front. But that was the car that, had a little air-cooled, I think it was 125 cc, maybe 500 cc. And then that design was sold to BMW, and BMW made like about 200,000 of these things. And so Rivolta got a nice royalty on every single Isetta that was made. And not only that, but he sold them the whole entire line to make them. So after the scooters, after the Isetta, he's rolling in dough right now, and he sets off to make a car that is a GT, a true GT. However, instead of a temperamental, Ferrari, he knew the engine capabilities of the Corvette V8, so basic to work on, tons of horsepower, maybe a little heavy in the nose at the time, was the way to go. So he got a hold of Bertone. He had Bizzarini. There was this Palace Revolt at Ferrari, so he was stealing a couple of really the best engineers and created this car that just drove impeccably. Had a independent suspension in the rear, inboard brakes, and so I bought this car for $15,000, and I was going to restore it because it was one of 29 of the 350 horsepower versions. And when we pulled it out of the acid bath, it was Swiss cheese, like all Italian cars from the 60s, from the belt line down. There was literally nothing left of the floor. So at that point I thought, okay, I'm going to have some real fun with this thing. We are now going to make this into a on-frame chassis from Art Morrison. We're going to put in a LS7 under the hood. We're going to put a 6-speed Tremec and make this car really, really bulletproof. And so it took about 3 years to design. It took about 3 years to, get all the, wonderful wheels that we spec, the gauges. We left it as original as we could inside in the spirit of the original car. However, I did take out the rear seat because it was a seat for 3-year-olds. I don't have 3-year-olds running around anymore. I am going to have 3-year-olds with grandkids, but so I just wanted to put our luggage in the back and in the trunk. I do a lot of driving all over the country, and the way I have is I've got my little bottles of water and some snacks in the back, and where am I going with this story? Anyway, the car, it was kind of coming together around SEMA, in the 2019 SEMA. Did you shoot the engine? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. So that's, if you peek down there, the header work is just phenomenal. This is the black, crinkled finish. The air does suck through the hood and goes right into the intake. It's a massive intake, but it just all funnels down into the mass airflow sensor that sits right in there. But yes, it is an aluminum block, LS7, which has a dry sump. So the tank, actually for all the oil, sits on the other side of that fender. It's hidden in the fender. And with the dry sump, instead of having a wet sump pan, you get that engine down about 2 to 3 inches lower in the chassis. So this thing handles just unbelievable. And if you look at the center line of the front, the engine starts at the center line and goes back. And that's what I love about the LS7. It's really compact. It can sit really low the way the valve train is designed. And so some of the things that we did, I really took apart every beautiful Italian car and put it into this GT. We removed the front bumpers. I just absolutely love the way the Lusso looks. It's got a very svelte bumper down here. Back then, this car was designed to, withstand a hit from a '59, Cadillac. So the bumpers were way out here, and then they wrapped around. So we really lightened up the front end, and what that did was that it accentuated the shark nose.
Richard, we're getting a request to start it, of course.
Okay, we will start it at the end. That's how we'll end it. How's that sound?
All right, we will be starting that car up to end the show. Matt, would you give just a quick scan of the entire collection for anybody that's just joining us?
Yeah,
So,
I might be
this month, April Caffeine and Gasoline. If you were coming into the store, you would see a new selection of cars. Our theme this month was supercars. We were able to get a few customer cars, and then we pulled out some of Richard's cars. So if you are just joining us, you can start the video over. It will be posted on our YouTube channel. So you can start it from the beginning and hear Richard talk about the other cars. But here's a nice little perusal of the auto display. Once again, if you guys have any questions related to detailing, please feel free to shoot right now. Customer John Ships wants to know if you have an autobiography written or if somebody's going to write a book about your life.
I would love to write a story about all the cars I've had and just the joy that they brought into my life and have met and have yet to meet. It's I can remember, and I'm just in the right business. I've never worked a day in my life, so to speak, and having very a few challenging days, but nothing that's been too overwhelming. And just just being in business for 30 years, and I think just selling to my friends is it's a great.
Randy and/or Jen from Paint House says hello.
Hi, Jen.
They are asking if we have clean hands, and Randy and Jen, we have a very special chemist in Indiana that has taken great care of our employees by mixing up her own formula of hand sanitizer. So,
and it is FDA approved.
We are working towards FDA approval for that. It is a wonderful formula. I know it's been working for me.
So can we get back to the ESO, or are you just?
We're getting back to the ESO. Let's go hear the ESO. Come on.
All right, you want to see the inside?
Yeah.
Inside's pretty cool. So what you can't see about this car is the glass roof that we put in. One of my favorite drives is to go up to Vancouver, then to Whistler, Whistler to the ski resort somewhere between there and Mount Robson, and all the mountains just have these incredible panoramic views. So the wood was just especially selected. That was all done in-house here. The gauges, I kind of went to the book of Lamborghini to get these Art Deco numbers that were green. So you would find those gauges in a Lamborghini 350, who actually stole it from like a 1950s Dodge Power Wagon, and some of the U.S. gauges in the 40s and 50s have that same script. So the glass roof is just amazing. It's just such a light and airy car inside. We have two little areas where I can just slip my phone down there next to the dash. Check this out. Keep the camera there. There we go. The phone will be charged now as I drive. That's all interconnected with the CarPlay that actually is hidden behind that little wood dash. It's going to start, flapping up when I, turn on the ignition here. And then that shift knob. That shift knob is a design from a customer. I hope he's out there somewhere, because he sent me this shift knob and he wanted us to sell it. And I said, gosh, you know what? I would have to have all sorts of, thread, designs for every, imaginable car. And so if you're out there, I just want to tell you that is the most insane shift knob I've ever experienced, and I've shifted a lot of cars. And that little collar that you see right underneath the shift knob, that is from a Jaguar. So we kind of, when you've been around cars as long as I have, you have this full encyclopedia of all these little jewels of that you've seen over the years and they were all used, and everything was downloaded in my brain and put into this car, and it really is something special for me. So.
Hey Richard, before you start the car up, I'd love to just get another walk around from Matt, but we had a question come in from Nick Van Otterloo on the live stream. What is your favorite car that you have or have had? That's a tough one, I'm sure, but.
The favorite car that I've had. Can I use that Ferry Porsche line, the next one? I just love, before I pass away, which is hopefully in the next 50 years or so, I want to taste every car. I want to drive every car. And I think my favorite car is the next experience. I'm just extremely passionate about driving. I love being on a racetrack. I love going into the mountains. I love just looking around, and I love the car telling me what the car's doing. So it's an experience. It's not the car so much, but it's like, what is this car telling me it wants to do, and what is this car? How does this car make me feel? And I think when you get in a car where it makes you feel just unbelievable, that is your favorite car.
Got another couple questions for you.
Yeah, the car just locked itself, so I don't know what's going on.
Well, you're gonna start it up, but Theater Design Company, has Richard ever visited the Auto e Moto d'Epoca show in Italy?
Not yet.
Not yet.
In fact, we were going to do it this year, but with all the stuff going on in Italy right now, yeah, that's.
Yeah.
He has a great hotel to stay at. Let us know. We'll have dinner.
Yeah, if you've got a suggestion, Theater Design Company, shoot. Drunk Bear Tray, I guess. When are you guys expecting the shop to be open and operational? I think at this point we are open in a very limited sense. You can call in a will call order. Our hours are 9 to 2, Monday through Saturday. We can do curbside delivery so you don't have to come in the store. If you do pick up in the store, you cannot peruse or browse or do any shopping. So luckily we have our website. You can call ahead, let us know what you want, and we'll bring it right out to your door. We're hoping this store, yeah.
The shop, you mean the Griot's Motor Shop?
I'm the Tacoma store here.
Okay.
Again, if you don't live in the Tacoma area, you can still order from us. We are still shipping from Indianapolis, in a pretty normal pattern. So you can continue to order from us. And again, if you're in Tacoma, the store is open. It's just a little different, and we're hoping to get back to normal so we can have some car shows this summer and that you can come in and see these cars in person. Lastly, Lynette and Island, we are not currently selling the sanitizer. We have made it for the safety of our employees, especially ones that are continuing to come into the office, which are not many, but we're going to be working through the FDA approval process so that we can send some out to you. My thought is that they're probably not going to be sold. They will be given to you if you place an order, but I can't confirm that yet. We're still working through that. If you come to the West Coast, is it possible to get a tour of the garage and shop? The shop, for sure. If you're very, very polite, you can sometimes get a private tour.
Depends how far you've come.
Yeah.
If you came like 5 miles, maybe. But if you've come like from New Jersey or Florida or even Moberly, Missouri, I will open up the back door for you.
We are getting clarification. They are asking about the Griot's Motors Restoration Shop. If you
Yeah,
wanna.
so we were to open up, you know, in the last couple of weeks with all the COVID stuff. You know, we don't have airlines that are properly capped off yet, and so we're you know, looking forward to the paint booth being operational. But no, it is going to be a wonderful shop. At some point in time, you'll be able to you know, buy cars through, you know, Griot's Motors that we've restored and have looked after, and I don't know, the paint shop's going to be totally booked out for a while. So, but you know, soon that will be open as well.
So again, the shop down the hill, we're just waiting for some subcontractors to come in and button up some loose ends, and then it's ready to go. I'd say it's substantially complete. Would you not say that same thing?
I mean, we have an occupancy permit.
Yeah.
It's just like some of the basic stuff that needs to be, you know, hooked up so we can run air tools and paint cars. So.
It's not a great time for a grand opening, folks. So we're gonna be working through that. Michael Caranto, our tentative plan is still June 20th. We're gonna see and just follow the guidelines that we're you know, attempting to follow in order to make this as short of a you know, period as possible. So we still have plans for June 20th for our 30th anniversary celebration at Pacific Raceways. Until we know more, that's what we know. So all the organization is in place for that event to take place. We're going to need to know if we can actually get together in that big of a group. We're planning on you know, a lot of people showing up to that party, so we got to be sure that it's safe as well. All right. Well, I think we want to hear. We want to hear that
the car? We'll close it off by starting it up.
Yeah, and well, give me one more chance. So if this is your first time tuning in to a live event with us, we are going to be doing them every week. Our next one will be Thursday. The topic of that will be the foaming system, Boss foaming system, the proper way to foam and clean your car. We did get some questions about pollens. That will be addressed. That YouTube Live we've been doing for almost a year now, and it's very detailing focused. It's very topical, so you can learn a lot from that. So tune in on Thursday. Our grand prize is an enormous kit giveaway, so we're going to solicit questions from you. And then the next virtual Caffeine and Gasoline will be 2 weeks from today. That's going to be all about you and your cars, your projects, what you're doing to keep yourself busy during this period of time. You can submit your photos to us by hashtag Virtual CnG or submitting a story and photos to social@griotsgarage.com. We will be doing prizes and giveaways with our sponsors and from us for that. The Caffeine and Gasoline shirt, we sell them when we have the shop open. Group 6 comes in and makes the shirts for us. So the next time we have an in-person Caffeine and Gasoline, if you like this shirt, you'll be able to buy it there. Really thank everybody for coming and participating. We hope you are healthy and doing your best in this time. We at Griot's Garage are very appreciative of you, our customers, and our family, and all of our employees that may be watching this. We are doing our best to get you guys the products you need to spend time in your garage and enjoying your time around your automobiles. So without further ado, Richard's going to start up that ESO, and we're going to sign off. So thank you very much. Have fun in your garage.
Alrighty, don't know if you can hear that, but LS7 just starts up, purrs like a kitten. We were actually driving this car a couple days ago. I don't know, maybe you can go stand by the back of the, back there with your microphone on.
It's pretty loud.
That's what 500 horsepower sounds like, and that's just blipping the throttle. This car is probably my favorite. All right, you guys have a great weekend.
Thank you all.